from Calvary Baptist Church, Sunday mornings at 9 here on News Talk WSIC, or listen on demand at WSICnews.com.
Well, good afternoon, Lake Norman, and welcome to Town Talk. We're coming to you live from WSIC, the Real Talk studio, nestled on the banks of beautiful Lake Norman, streaming worldwide from Palermo, Italy to Plum Branch, South Carolina. Population 82 people, by the way. I'm your host, Bill Russell, President of Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce, the largest chamber of commerce in the Charlotte region. This is a program where we discuss topics that are impacting your family, your friends, your neighbors, your business, from my neighborhood to yours. My two guests today on Town Talk are Shane Seagle. He is the managing partner of NorthState Development, and Mark Miller, who's the founding principal of Highline Partners. But before we actually get started with either one of those, today I found out on the 2023's most popular boating cities in America, today Lake Norman was named the 27th most popular boating city in America, number 27, according to Get My Boats, which is the most popular boating cities in America. The problem is, Bill is my producer, Bill Blakely. Problem is Lake Norman is not actually a city, so I don't really know how they're doing that. I'm sure I'm going to get something next week that asks me if I want to buy the plaque that has this information in there.
We'll take it.
Yeah, but do you know who is number one as the most popular boating city in America? Number one?
Who's that?
Miami.
Oh.
Miami is number one. Charleston, South Carolina, which is the only North and South Carolina city other than Lake Norman,
right,
is coming in at number 22.
Oh, wow. That's nice. That's nice company.
Yeah, now if we just only make Lake Norman a city, we will we actually be legit. Bill, we had our Chamber Business Expo yesterday. We had it at the Huntersville Recreation Center. 120 businesses and nonprofits. WSIC was a partner there doing live remotes. And again, one of the things that I've heard was the really the diverse business community, Mark, that actually was there. We had everything from finance and the banks and the financial investment, realtors. We had chiropractors, healthcare. We had real estate. We had home staging that was there at the expo. So again,
did you have boats?
We actually had Ed Watkins. Yes, he is a boat dealer right here in Cornelius, North Carolina. So we did have a boat dealer. And normally we have Carefree Boat Club there, but Carefree wasn't there this time around. They're almost always there. But anyway, great event. We had, I guess, close to 1,200, 1,500 people come out. Huntersville Recreation Center. We've been doing that since 2001. So it was a fantastic opportunity for our business community to showcase what they do. Coming up, we've got candidate forums. Just tomorrow night, we're having a forum for the Cornelius Town Board. So the two people, Woody Washam and Dennis Bilodeau, is going to be vying for our mayor spot here in Cornelius, along with 10 other candidates. That's taking place 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at Cornelius Town Hall. And then we turn around next week on Tuesday. We're having a forum in Huntersville on the 17th, and that's going to be for the 3 people running for mayor and 5 people running for town board. And because Huntersville's so special, we had 17 people that filed, Shane, 17. That was your town that you grew up in, right? Huntersville. Oh, okay. But anyway, we got 17. Had 17 people running. Now we got 15. We had 2 people drop out. Justin Kazepis is going to be moderating that particular program. So we will have it live streamed, so people that can't be there in person for some reason or the other can go and watch it on the WSIC studio website. They can also watch it on Twitter, which is now X. Mark, it's no longer Twitter.
Yeah,
it's X.
I still go to twitter.com.
You know, the whole thing is like the whole Prince thing to me, though. How did you pronounce Prince when he did away with his name and it was just as simple?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
This might be before my time, but I love Prince.
Well, I do like Prince too. So anyway, it's going to be streamed on X. It's going to be streamed on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Are we out of YouTube jail, Bill? Or are we still in YouTube jail? Okay. But next week we're going to have it solved. But Justin is going to be our moderator, and we're asking those that have questions. You can submit it by chat, or you can, we'll have people there. You can write it down an index card and send it back up. But 2 forums taking place in Huntersville next week. And then Davidson's pretty much said they're not going to have an election because they got 5 people running for 5 spots and 1 person running for mayor. So the election's over with. Unless you're a write-in candidate and you got a lot of friends, that election's pretty much done. So instead of doing a candidate forum in Davidson, at the Davidson Village Inn on October the 30th, we're actually going to have a meet and greet. So you can still come out and meet the people that are going to be are the elected officials in Davidson. So that's some of the things that we've got going on. The Chamber of Commerce, we came out in support of a $2.5 billion school bond, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. That bond is going to allow for a new replacement school in Cornelius, a new replacement school in Huntersville, a new replacement school for North Mecklenburg High School. And Shane, we were talking about that. You graduated from North Mecklenburg High.
That is correct. Yep, graduated in 1990.
Yeah, and it needed to be replaced in 1990, I think.
I think it did. Yeah.
They actually, I think North Mech was probably built around when FDR was president, so it's been a long time. But and then we're also getting a middle school for North Mecklenburg. So a lot of the bond package, North Mecklenburg is finally getting some of its due. In 2017, our Chamber of Commerce, we didn't go along to get along. We opposed the 2017 bond because there was really nothing on the bond for North Mecklenburg. You had some minor improvements to, I think, Davidson IB, but that was it. The Chamber of Commerce is also getting behind a bond package in the town of Huntersville, $58 million package. It'll be $50 million for transportation improvement and $8 million for parks and rec. So again, some of those projects that you're seeing, particularly as you're driving through and around Huntersville, and you're seeing a lot of transportation improvement going on, those projects would come to a grinding halt if we don't get this bond package through. So we're encouraging our member businesses and our citizens to support both the CMS package and the Huntersville bond package. Question is somebody who's got a project. We're going to talk about your actually development downtown, but how important is road improvements for something like the project you're going to be having in Huntersville?
Yeah, I think road improvements are very important for our projects. Our goal for particular downtown Huntersville is to really revitalize downtown Huntersville. We want to bring some people, which will bring some restaurants and retail, and to make that happen successfully, you need good road infrastructure.
Both of your projects, and I was reading about it. Yours is a $60 million investment, I think, in the town of Huntersville, and yours is a $60 million investment.
60 million and one.
60 million and one. Okay, 61 million. Okay, but what does it say to you when a town is willing its citizens to invest in its own community? Mark?
Say that again, Bill.
What does it mean as a developer when you're investing in a community like Cornelius?
Yeah.
What does it mean when a community is investing back into its own community, the transportation infrastructure and parks and rec?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, specific to Cornelius, road improvements are critical. Everybody knows that. Moving people quickly is important. Nobody wants to be stuck in traffic, and that hurts your investment into as well if people are always stuck in traffic. So just moving people, creating better intersections is critical, but also just the condition of roads, the aesthetics of roads. That also helps with your investments.
We're going to be going to a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Sean Seagle, and we're going to actually be talking Shane Seagle, and we're going to be talking about development. Come back right with us on Town Talk WSIC. See.
Town Talk with Lake Norman.
WSIT, I don't know where that came from. New call letters for Justin. We're going to be talking to those of you streaming. Thank you for staying with us. We're going to be talking about some of the things that we're doing at the Chamber of Commerce because, again, a lot going on at the Chamber, not only the candidate forums that we just talked about, the expo that we had yesterday. We've got a lot of things going on. I want to touch on some of them. Just last week, we kicked off our Junior Leadership Lake Norman, had a retreat at Rural Hill. Junior Leadership Lake Norman is for young people 16 years of age at CMS, but also any of the Lake Norman Charter School, Pine Lake Prep. Community School of Davidson Day, all have students enrolled in our Junior Leadership Lake Norman, and gives them a chance to go out and find out about their community over like a 6-month period. So the next session that they will have will be going out and doing history and education. So they'll go to Davidson College and find out a little bit about Davidson, the history of Davidson College. They will find out the history of the Hugh Torrance House and Store, a little bit about Rural Hill, the Davidson Cemetery. So again, it's an opportunity for them to get exposure into our area. One of the programs they have is economic development. So Ryan McDaniels with our Economic Development Corporation will come out and talk about what the EDC does in terms of bringing primary job creation to the area, and not just going out and bringing new companies and businesses to the area, but also expanding existing business. So if you had somebody like Rubbermaid or MSC or Ingersoll Rand that wanted to expand their campus, they would be working with our EDC. The retreat last week was a really good one because it gave them an opportunity to find out how they motivate each other. Tomorrow, 12:30 on Thursday, from 12:30 to 2, Emerge Ortho, which is going to actually be Terrell Park Drive in Sherrills Ford. It's a patient-centered orthopedic care offering advanced expertise in the bones and muscles and joints. We're having a ribbon cutting. Shane, you were asking me before we actually went on air, what's the territory or the market of the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce? Here we are having a ribbon cutting in Sherrills Ford tomorrow. So we got that going on. Our Lake Norman Young Professionals, we created an organization that is an arm of the Chamber, 21 to 39, that they're having a program themselves, and they're going to have their annual putt-putt next October 17th coming up, Frankie's Fun Park. For those of you streaming, stay with us. We're coming right back to Town Talk.
WSIC Weather Center.
Call now to speak with Lake Norman Chamber President Bill Russell at 844-STUDIO-4. It's Town Talk on WSIC.
Welcome back to Town Talk. I'm Bill Russell, your host. I have Shane Seagle. He is the managing partner of NorthState Development, and we have Mark Miller, the founding principal of Highline Partners. Shane, I want to start with you. You've got a project that I'm extremely excited about. Actually, I'm excited about both of these particular projects. I talked about the candidate forums a while ago, and since 1996, almost at every forum over every 2 years, we have candidates running for office that talk about how we need to revitalize downtown. We've just got to bring a sense of vibrancy and to downtown, and yet nothing has happened until now. You've got your organization that is absolutely going to be a catalyst for business. But talk about, if you would, what is NorthState Development and who are some of the partners? And then share what is the development you're bringing into downtown Huntersville?
Sure. So NorthState Development was started by myself, Shane Buckner, and David Dupree. We are a local firm where our office is here in Cornelius, right off of West Catawba and Nance Road. We primarily are a development and acquisition company. We have a pretty robust pipeline. We have over 1,300 multifamily units in the pipeline. We have 400 single-family townhome lots that we own or control. We just completed our first self-storage development in the Lake Norman area. And we also own and manage some about 187,000 square feet of commercial space, grocery-anchored retail spaces, things like that. Most of our employees live right here in the Lake Norman area. I think all of them live in the Lake Norman area. So we're a very local firm. We like where we live. We like where we work. We think there's a lot of great places in these areas, and think there's a lot of opportunities in these areas as well.
The project in Huntersville, what will that be?
Yeah, so it's a $60 million project, like you said. It's a total of 186 units. It's 134 apartment units. It's a 4-story building. We'll have ground floor retail. And then behind that building will be 41 townhomes and 11 single-family homes. So it's a really good mixed use. We have some retail. You go from higher density on Gilead, and then it gets lower density as you progress south toward Greenway. You've probably seen it. We're deep in construction now. We're going vertical. Most of the site work's been completed. So really starting to see a transformation there. We're excited to get that thing going. We probably have another year to get that completed.
It's over 10 acres, right?
It's about 11 acres, yes.
11 acres. How many square feet of commercial?
So it's about, when you take out back of house space, it's about 7,500, 8,000 square feet of rentable space.
Shane, we were just talking about, you went to North Mech and kind of grew up in Huntersville. As somebody who, much younger, saw downtown Huntersville, did you ever think I'm going to be playing a part in revitalizing and reinventing downtown Huntersville?
It's funny. So where our project is and where Discovery Place is, there was a Cross Chevrolet. You probably remember that. So that's where I always took my car, right? I always got it fixed. So I know that area very well. I was always in there. I never thought I would be part of revitalizing that downtown. But when the opportunity came along, I consider Huntersville as my hometown. I grew up here, went to high school here, and lived here after that. So really have a big heart for Huntersville. So when the opportunity came along, I was just all in on that.
A lot of developers, when they're looking to come to any town, and Mark, this is the case with whether somebody's coming up to Cornelius or Davidson, Huntersville, they tell their story. They talk about the jobs they're going to create. They're going to talk about the tax value that they'll bringing into the town that helps everybody out. And they show the real dollars and cents, and they say, okay, now the town board and the citizens are just going to be on this project. There's no way they won't support this project. But that's not really the case. I'm a big fan of Birkdale and North American Properties. They did that. They had a plan. They showed exactly what they were going to be doing. It was going to be fantastic for those tenants that are already there. But they allowed some of the critics to tell the story and get out in front of that. That wasn't the case with NorthState. You guys, you were able to get out there and tell your story. I remember sitting when the town was to decide that project. It was just after it was so many people. We were in the Huntersville Recreation Center. That's actually where that was being discussed because there were hundreds of people in there. And you created a video that some of the business owners talked about what it would mean to revitalize the downtown district. You had citizens that talked about what it meant for their town to finally have a downtown again. And we had a group called Save Huntersville that had been opposing the project. And at the end of that video, Mark, it came out and it said, Save Huntersville. And you could have heard the gasp in the room, everybody, because you basically usurped their little logo, their little slogan. But you were absolutely right. Revitalizing the town was saving Huntersville. But talk about that process because, again, you did a fantastic job of telling your story.
Yeah, I think it goes back. So we had close communications with Jack Semino over there, the whole planning department. We wanted to understand their vision. We looked at the 2030 plan, the 2040 plan. We took all that into account, and it's, our vision was to meet those plans, is to bring some density downtown, some really nice properties downtown to help revitalize that area. And, that was a tough process going through that rezoning. We didn't think it would be that tough because we're meeting these plans that were adopted by the Board of Commissioners, input from the community. So we felt like we were doing what everybody wanted, but that was not the case, like you mentioned. But, once you talk to the business owners and the people that really, most of the people that are really downtown, they want to see something happen down there. It was a struggle. I remember having we did the video at Mamma Mia's, and he was a big supporter, and we brought some folks in, and video turned out great. And it was really just speaking from the heart. We were trying to revitalize downtown that really needed it. I mean, they wanted it. It was in their plans. They wanted to see something like that happen.
John Foster was another owner whose business has almost always been downtown Huntersville, and he spoke on that video.
Huge supporter.
Yeah. That was again masterful. The project has been 4 years in the making, but you probably had a sense of doing this long before that 4 years. How long has this project been in the mind of NorthState?
So it's probably been we've probably been talking about this for 6 years plus, probably 7 years. It just takes so long. Initially we had control of 2-acre parcel on Gilead. Then Mr. Bradford owned pieces behind it. Nate Bowman owned some pieces behind that. So, the original plan was we had control of the frontage, and we knew you're downtown Huntersville. This could be a key development. So, it took time to work with the other property owners and planning department and the vision. So it was a long process. I think you came to the groundbreaking.
Right.
At the groundbreaking, I remember saying we had been working on it for almost 4 years. And that was to get to that point.
It's human nature that all of us are resistant to change in some way, shape, or form. I mean, nobody really likes and embraces change, but the fact of the matter is, if you're not changing, you're dying. And that's really what was going on in downtown, not just in Huntersville, but in Cornelius. I mean, we have had a thriving downtown in Davidson, and it's a wonderful place. They have the Christmas in Davidson they're able to go to, but we haven't actually been able to have a downtown. And in the 1940s and 1960s, that was the heart of the Huntersville business community. It was downtown.
Yeah, I think I remember going through this rezoning, people were coming up and supporting us. They wanted to see this happen. They told us that this was the largest investment in downtown, private investment downtown in the last 40, 50 years, hands down.
And Mark, we're going to talk about this with you too, but you're bringing in also housing, apartments. Why is density important to a mixed-use project like this? Talk about why the density is important.
Yeah, I think the density is very important. We truly want to revitalize downtown. So to do that, you got to have people downtown. We want to see people. The vision is people are walking around downtown. You're visiting restaurants, brewery, all kinds of shops. To do that, you got to have the density down there. Right. It's walkable. So getting the sufficient density will bring the other uses to help make it sort of a walkable, pedestrian-friendly area, which I think everybody wants. And I don't want to be all negative. I honestly think once we finish this project, I think even the people that were against us, I think they'll see this as a great project for downtown Huntersville. I mean, it's already turned out. You got since we announced our project, the brewery across the street.
Yep.
Has happened.
760.
And he's told us that the reason he did that is because of what we're doing across the street.
That's right.
Then you got Brian Hinesdale down the street, and then we have another project just quarter mile down the street. We're going to do 35 high-end townhomes, walkable to downtown. So I think you'll see it's going to be a really neat downtown eventually.
Mark, when the Growth Management Task Force was doing their study in Cornelius, and it wasn't really your project that we were discussing, but I was still down there talking about it because we were talking about heights of buildings and things. But one of the things I shared with the planning board and then the town board is that people they want the 131 Mains, they want the Dresslers, or they want those types of nice restaurants, they want the high-end retail, but they don't want the cars and they don't want the people. Well, guess what? You have to have that because the restaurant has to have the diners. The retail has to have the shoppers or they can't exist.
That's right.
So that goes hand in glove, and you've got to have density for these mixed-use development projects.
That's right, exactly right. Yep.
And when we get back, we want to talk about your project because, again, that's just recently been approved, and we're very excited about what that's going to be bringing to our community. So those of you who are listening to us, please come back on Town Talk at WSIC. And those of you who are streaming, we're going to continue to talk about Chamber of Commerce activities. We'll be right back on Town Talk, WSIC. Do you know what WSIC really stands for?
I do not.
I don't.
Okay. The SIC is Statesville, Iredell County.
Okay.
WSIC. Bill, you probably didn't think I knew that, did you? Now, here's what I want you to do. Next Monday when Joe Vagnone has his show, I want you to ask him, what does WSIC, the call letters, actually stand for? And see if he knows that. Because I got it in there.
What does WSIT stand for?
Troutman. Statesville, I heard old Troutman, I guess. Yeah, there you go. Whist, there you go. The Chamber of Commerce, again, we were talking about all of the things going on. We've got this candidate forums, and again, I can't urge people enough to please go out there because, again, our town boards, I used to say only are involved in fiscal matters of looking at the financials for their departments and the tax base and real estate, but they're in all kinds of other areas too. So the town board absolutely controls the growth, the development, the business and commerce of any town. The planning board, ironically, the planning board can sit there and really look at the minutia of all of these things and vote 6-0 for something, and it can be declined by the town board because the power of the town lies within its elected officials.
And you see that a lot.
Yep.
I mean, recently you see that a lot.
So the town the town candidate forums are so very, very important. So if you're a resident of Cornelius or Davidson, please come out. We also have elections going on in our other communities as well. I think y'all were discussing this morning, Bill, that there were some primaries being held, I believe, in Statesville, where some of the wards have been decided. And it isn't just town board elections. Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools have some at-large positions. So, again, we're going to have some of those candidates coming out there. Justin Kazepis, who you heard in the background, he is going to be moderating those particular things. Public safety luncheon coming up October the 19th. The Chamber's having an event. We've been doing a recognition of our public safety officers since 2003. So the police officers from Cornelius, Davidson, and Huntersville, as well as our firefighters, and our Crime Stopper of the Year going to be recognized on October the 19th at Northstone Country Club. So please come out. Tickets are available. It's $35 for members, $40 for non-members, and you can go to the website, lakenormanchamber.org.
MarionStatesville.com. Town Talk continues now. Here's your host, Lake Norman Chamber President Bill Russell on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, welcome back to Town Talk. I'm Bill Russell. I have Shane Seagle, who's the managing partner of NorthState Development, Mark Miller, the founding principal at Highline Partners. Mark, tell me a little bit about what is Highline Partners, and then we're going to get into your project.
Sure. Highline Partners, we're young. We're only 2 years old now, but I think the impetus of the company was to be a boutique developer in Charlotte and try to do projects that are creative and thoughtful and what we deem to be special locations. So that was kind of the purpose of the company, and we feel very fortunate to be working on the Mills Market project in downtown Cornelius.
And who are some of the other principals within your firm?
We have a director of construction that we're actually just now onboarding, David Thomas. We also have a early equity partner by the name of Expedition Capital out of Dallas, Texas. And they subsidize some manpower as well as they have in-house counsel and in-house construction management. And so we are kind of a team as we work on. They're programmatically involved with all the projects that we do, so we work as a team on the projects that we have currently in our pipeline.
Mark, I think I've shared this story with you before, and we're going to get into your project, but when I was hired in 1996, I went down to the town hall, which was then the old police station, which is now where the Kane Center for the Arts is. So it was the old police station that's been torn down. But I parked my car there on Catawba Avenue, and there was an old mill that used to be right across the street from the Kane Center for the Arts.
Yep.
And there literally was 2 goats, and I said G-O-A-T-S, goats. There were 2 goats. One was up on the loading dock, and one was walking around, and they were just entertaining themselves and eating. And I'm thinking, what is this, downtown Cornelius? And I walked in, the manager was Bob Race, and I said, there are like goats across the street. And he said, oh yeah, our petting zoo.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, is he serious?
Yeah.
But of course you had the mill owner was, the town was trying to buy the property, and the guy with the property wanted to be rezoned for something else, and the town wouldn't rezone it that way. So there was a little bit of fight going back. So he put goats in that. So our town center had goats across from town hall. But I shared how excited I am for what's going on, not only in Huntersville, but in Cornelius, because we have the Kane Center for the Art, which is going to be tremendous, and already is, and some great performances there. But now the project that you had, which was originally, we were looking at 6 stories, and I think we've gone down to 4, but again, $61 million investment in our community. Talk about what you're doing down there.
Sure. By the way, we have a historic photograph aerial of that mill. I think it was called the Cornelius Mill. And
Is the goats in the photo?
No, I didn't. Well, I'm going to look again now that you said that, but I don't recall any goats. But I'm hoping we can find some ways to put that in our project too, just to show. I mean, that was the town center. It was the mills.
Absolutely.
I mean, that
Yeah,
was
sure.
commerce, right? So it's just different times. But Mills Market is approved for 238 apartment units and 12,000 square feet of commercial. It is a wrap project, so the building completely wraps a parking deck. So there's a structured parking deck in the middle, and we have an agreement with the town to provide an additional 130 spaces to the town that they will own and control, and hopefully that will help spur some additional economic development opportunities in downtown. I know parking is needed down there, so there's a little bit of a public benefit there as well. The last thing I'll say is our 12,000 square feet of commercial kind of creates this courtyard that encircles 2 existing buildings there. So it's kind of a unique, it is a privately owned courtyard, but it's going to feel like additional public open space in the downtown area.
Shane, when Mark came in and showed me the plans for what he was going to do, and at that time, again, it was 6 stories, and I was just blown away. And I went down to the town board and argued with the planning board of why we needed to continue to have 6 stories, because we've got to go vertical. We may not be land constrained in Huntersville, but we are in Cornelius. We just cannot go horizontal with our building. We've got to go up. And so that was an important feature that you guys introduced.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the key things that was talked about, is building height. And I know you guys were talking about change, and I think there is always going to be a balance to change. And you could probably, if you look down a 40-year timeline, you could justify 6 stories or maybe 7 or 8 stories, but that might be too much to bite off today. So I feel like what we arrived at in discussions with the community members, stakeholders, and the elected officials, I think was a good compromise.
We talked about density before we went to break, and I shared a little bit my perspective, your perspective on density. Why is that so important that you have the density for a project like yours to be able to be successful?
Yeah, I was thinking when you and Shane were talking that it used to be a phrase we would say retail follows rooftops. You gotta have the rooftops there, the retail will follow. I think we're in a new age now where business, office, we're now a lot working from home as well, but I think everything is chasing the people. And so in a town center area, you gotta have the people first. The retail, the commerce, the businesses will then follow that. That's what we're seeing in South End and Charlotte. It started with the people, and then the businesses moved to there. So I think that's the heartbeat. I think you have to have the people to have a lively and pleasant and walkable downtown.
Sometimes we developers are put in this pigeonhole with this view of, oh, you're just going to tear things down, or you're going to remove stuff. But you're on the Preserve Mecklenburg board. You're one of those developers. You appreciate the past. You want to try to integrate the past into what you're doing.
Yeah, it's inherently conflictive. I was, served on the Historic Landmarks Commission for 6 years as well, which was a great opportunity. And again, as developers, we are agents of change. It is our job to react to what we're seeing in the market and put projects that are planning for the future. That requires change. Where I feel like we have to be sensitive, and again, where I hope Highline can be sensitive, is to doing projects that blend in with what is the existing built environment, right? And I think that's important, that those old buildings, that masonry, the brick facades, those things provide character. They provide culture. And I honestly, and I'll say this, I think Charlotte as a whole has a bad rap for tearing too many of those buildings down. And so those shiny new buildings don't always build that culture. And there's a reason why Nashville is a bit different from Charlotte. So but you have to build. Okay, so what is that balance? And that's something that is always an ongoing friction point, but maybe a good friction point.
You pride yourself, and you mentioned it just a little while ago, that you're a boutique developer. In your mind, what is a boutique developer?
Well, just that we're not a huge company. We don't have 100 people on staff. We don't have 100 projects in our pipeline. I think there is a need for housing. That's a different conversation. Where we are trying to be good is, again, in that creative and thoughtful space where you really can't do as many projects. And so you do a little bit less. So we're not going to have as many people on staff, but the projects that we do, we are trying to put a lot into. And so that's just the space we're trying to fill.
And before you developed this particular organization, you were involved with Lat Person.
Yeah.
Share some of the things that we might be familiar with in North Mecklenburg or South Iredell that Lat Person was involved in.
Well, I think if you go to a grocery store in Charlotte, it was probably a Lat Person development, number one. But number two, I was there for 15 years and just learned, I feel like, how to do business the right way under them. I can't say enough good things about the Purser family. So that's how we learned how to do real estate. And then Highline is 2 years old, and we're trying to make our mark.
Do you have any idea of what kind of retail that you might be, what kind
Sure.
of commercial you might be attracting your project?
Yeah, I can certainly tell you what it's not going to be.
Okay.
Is the chain, Applebee's type groups that you might see in a suburban retail community. We are really going to go after local, regional, authentic food and beverage type uses. Those are going to be the coffee shops. Those are going to be the high-end dining shops, the lunch sandwich shops. There might be some mercantile, soft good, boutique type retail, clothing. That could be there too. But, all those things that try to create a good experience and that are pleasant to walk to and from in a downtown area. And again, don't want to miss the fact that this retail, we hope, is very accretive to the Kane Center. There's not a lot of those options today. And so when you go to the Kane Center for a show, whether it's before or after, can you get a glass of wine somewhere? Can you enjoy the total experience in downtown Cornelius? That's what we're hoping Mills Market will create.
Shane grew up in Huntersville, and so he when he took his car down there to the cross, he kind of had an idea about what might go on down there. What attracted you to Cornelius? What was the attraction there?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I don't. While there are some old buildings and some of those are in bad conditions, we felt like there was a good feeling in the current downtown Cornelius. Some of those buildings did have a really cool look. We are actually trying to preserve the facade of those existing 3 commercial buildings. So we liked that kind of fabric of the downtown. Again, when we were talking to the town commissioners, we were saying that we want Mills Market to enhance the current downtown. We don't want Mills Market to take over or redefine it. We want it to enhance what is already there. So, you've got those pavered sidewalks, you've got those brick facade buildings. Those are very cool things that we want to accompany, I guess.
Well, and just like Shane, what you were talking about a while ago of working within the town board and the planning board and getting the citizens' input, I don't know of anybody that worked any harder than you did to make sure that you were trying to fit the vision of what the planning board, the land, the growth committee had. You really worked very, very hard with our town board to kind of come up with the product that was going to be what they were looking for.
All I will say is that they were a great group to work with, and it's always helpful when people speak up and give their opinions. We can't say yes to everything.
Right.
We got to be honest about what we can do and what we cannot do. But I think that the community and the commissioners were outstanding to work with.
We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more with the two of y'all on our commercial development. So stay with us on WSIC's Town Talk. I'm Bill Russell. Again, extremely excited. Those of you who are streaming with us, we're going to talk about a little bit about what's going on with the Chamber of Commerce. We continue some of the programs that we have. But again, I can't tell you how excited I am as the president of the Chamber of Commerce that finally, after all these years, we're going to have a vibrant downtown in Huntersville and a vibrant downtown. We're already starting to see it with the Kane Center for the Arts. Have either of y'all been to the Kane Center of the Arts yet and seen any performance?
Yeah,
What did you see?
I saw I think his name's Mike Goodwin. He was a comedian probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Great show. Love the place. It's a super nice
Oh, isn't it
place.
nice?
Oh, it's
Isn't it
very
nice?
nice. Yeah.
Mark?
Oh, I forget the artist's name. Something Mendez, I believe. She was incredible. And Allison, I took my wife, of course, and we went to Barrel and Fork, and had to drive to the Cane Center. But Barrel Fork was wonderful. And I can't remember the first name of the artist, but she was fantastic, and we had a great experience.
Mother's Day weekend, I went to see the Charlotte Symphony. Susan and I, we always like to go see the symphony downtown. And we got to see the Charlotte Symphony here. And I got to tell you, the acoustics in the Cane Center for the Arts was just nothing less than superb. Yeah. I mean, it was fantastic. This Saturday is the symphony again. Oh wow! Oh, wow!
There you go.
It was fantastic, and again, I was looking to go. There was a jazz performance just a few weeks ago in September that we had tickets for, but unfortunately couldn't make that event. But really nice. A couple of Chamber of Commerce activities that we have coming up. We have our Chamber of Commerce Focus Fridays, always on the third Friday of the month. And that's going to be United States Congressman Dan Bishop, District Number 9. He's going to give a Washington perspective about what's going on. That's Friday, October the 20th, 8:30 to 9:30. That's done by Zoom because Dan will actually be in D.C. And hopefully they have a Speaker of the House by then. I hope they have somebody selected because we've got a lot going on. And speaking of that, so much going on with the Israeli situation. Thoughts and prayers for everybody over there in the Middle East, and that's a catastrophic event taking place. Hopefully, we can see that come to an end very, very soon. But we also got a lot going on in Washington D.C. So we need to make sure that we're heading in the right direction there. We also have a business after hours with Care Med Spa. You can meet the doctors and the staff at this holistic rejuvenation spa, and that's going to be Thursday the 19th at 5:30 to 7, just before the forum, so please come out and see it. Those of you who are streaming with us, we'll be right back on WSIC.
With Lake Norman Chamber President Bill Russell on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to Town Talk. I'm Bill Russell, your host. I have Shane Seagle. He is the managing partner of NorthState Development. Mark Miller, the founding partner, principal of Highline Partners. You're both. You are now a resident of Denver, but you grew up in Huntersville, and you're
Correct.
a resident of Charlotte. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we have a $58 million bond package. Excuse me. That's the town of Huntersville. We have a $2.5 billion bond package in Charlotte-Mecklenburg that you have the opportunity to vote on, Mark. Do you know what you're going to be doing when it comes balloting time on the school bonds?
We'll be supporting the bond.
Good.
Good answer.
And you're over in Denver, so you would have been able to vote on the $58 million Huntersville bonds for transportation and parks. But that's on the ballot as well. I want to ask you, Shane, do you have any other? Well, we were talking a little while ago about some of the commercial that might be coming to his project. Do you have an idea yet about what kind of commercial activity you might see in the project for Huntersville?
Yeah, we're just now getting to the point to start talking about that. We do see, probably a nice restaurant like Mark was saying, something that brings good experience to the residents, our residents, and the whole community there, walkable. So we see some food and beverage there, a lot of that there, maybe a touch of some small office space in there. So something around there.
And this was the first chance for either of you two to personally meet, even though you knew of each other.
Yep.
What is your thoughts on the project that is for Cornelius? Because again, as a Huntersville person born and down and raised in Huntersville and coming up to Cornelius, what do you think this will do for Cornelius?
I love the project. In fact, I don't know a whole lot about exactly where it is, but I'm hoping that. So Mickey Potts was my baseball coach growing up.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and his barbershop's right there.
Yep.
So is that staying?
It is.
I heard you saying they were
Yeah, it
trying to
is.
save those.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great project. I was actually involved with Antiquity. We did the apartments over there.
Did you really?
Yeah. So I love downtown Cornelius. I think with what's going on there, I think that'll be a huge success. So wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up because when we were hearing some of the discussion about some of the antiquity people who were opposed to this particular project, I was going like, whoa, 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 whoa. I remember when we were talking about the antiquity project, and now we have that out of the ground, and that's one of our jewels in Cornelius. It's a fantastic project. So, again, some of those people, they wouldn't be living in their homes and wouldn't be shopping in some of those stores if it weren't for that project. So, again, it's funny that people objecting to some of those things. Your idea or your thoughts on what's going on in Huntersville?
Well, I love it. It's under construction, which is way better than where we are. But I think also very cool that you've got a developer who's got the roots in that area. I mean, that's a strong item, and I think it's a cool story. So it's the right group for that project. I mean, we're not that far away, but I like the history there. Also, you know, we have a consultant that Shane uses as well, so we do hear every now and then about the progress of their project, and I hear it's going great. And again, we've talked about it, but just bringing the population, bringing some of the rooftops to a downtown area is an important thing. So again, they're doing it. They're a year out from delivering. I think that's incredible. Our goals is to get to those points.
Shane, when do we see build out for this particular project in Huntersville?
So the multifamily, the 4-story multifamily with retail is probably about a year out. And the townhomes will be, you know, they'll actually break ground in the next 30, 45 days. So like I said, there's 52 of those altogether with townhomes and single family. So that'll take quite a while to build those out.
And a lot on your plate, but do you have any other projects that you're already eyeing?
Particular for downtown Huntersville, we have another project that should break ground hopefully by the end of the year, maybe the first of the year. It'll be 244 units. We're in our final approval stage now. So we're excited about that. It's 244 units. And like I mentioned, we do have another one downtown Huntersville that's 35 high-end townhomes and already broken ground. You've probably saw the Huntersville Fire Department out there. They did some training on some of the houses. So that has happened. Houses have been demoed. Site work started. So probably see home vertical construction starting in March, April next year.
Okay. And Mark, I know we haven't even broken ground on yours yet.
We have some beautiful renderings we can share with you, Bill.
When do we look at maybe that being built out? What's the projection?
Yeah, we've just recently kicked. So the zoning just came 2 weeks ago. So we have just started kicking off our construction drawings, and just with where permitting is these days and the backlog, we are estimating a year-ish before we can get the project permitted. And so I do think it's Q4 2024 to Q1 2025 before we break ground.
Well, when you get ready to break that ground, you can give Shane a call over here, because let me tell you something. He had a really, really nice groundbreaking.
That was fun. Yeah, we had a really good time there. Great showing. It turned out great, even though it did rain a little bit. Yeah,
well, that's right. That's right, it did. But we had the 70 to 60 guys come over, and so, fantastic little event. I know you haven't even gotten this project behind you, but do you have eyes on some things that you're looking at?
We do. We have a project that we're working on in not so far away from Mills Market that we haven't really broadcasted yet. We want to get through a few more hoops before we do, but the answer is yes. The Cornelius town is not done with Highline yet, okay, for better or worse. So we have another project that we're working on.
You know, it's exciting that both of you have projects right here. What is it about Lake Norman? Again, you're from here, but what is it about Lake Norman that makes a great place for you to do business? And again, I know you had to go through some hoops to get it approved, but what is it that attracts you to Lake Norman?
Well, I think a big part of it is we know Lake Norman. We care about Lake Norman. We want to see it develop, the right way, the right products. So there's just a lot of opportunity right here in our backyards.
Mark, same thing. Again, you're a Charlotte developer, and it wasn't easy. You made a lot of trips to Cornelius. You put a lot of time into it. There's a lot of money invested in this project. But why Cornelius? Why Lake Norman for this project?
I think when we were driving downtown Cornelius, you could just see that there was potential, but there wasn't the project. And I have to give credit to the owners. They did a phenomenal job assembling 9 different parcels in downtown. That's very difficult to do. And so we felt like that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and there was a lot of potential. It wasn't there, and you had this ownership group who assembled 9 parcels, and we said, this is it. We need to take the shot.
Shane, you have a sister group that people might be very familiar with, Madison Homes. Do you want to speak about Madison Homes?
Sure. So it's Madison Simmons Homes and Communities. Again, office right here in Cornelius. We have projects really basically Charlotte Metro. We have one project that's sort of an outlier. Right now it's in Woodfin, which is in North Asheville, 120 units up there. But going great. We should complete about 50 homes this year. We have in the pipeline to finish about double that, 100 homes. And then on top of that, the following year, we should do about 200. So we have a pretty robust pipeline to feed that machine.
NorthState is also involved in the community. You guys, we were just talking about it before we went on air. One of the organizations that you support, Angels and Sparrows.
Yeah. We volunteered there a couple times. Really like what they're doing. They do great. They got a really good process system set up there. So had a lot of fun. We actually played in a golf tournament there Monday at Skybrook. So yeah, I think that's a great organization. We're happy to be supporting those guys and volunteering there.
I was mentioning Bill, my producer, that I'll be volunteering down there on November 14th. I came in here one day and Justin Kazepis, the station owner and general manager here, was out there talking to Bill about how he didn't have a lot of love for baseball and it was a boring sport and you could sit out in the outfield and eat snow cones. And I went out there and then I proceeded to challenge him to a hitting contest, Mark. Justin's about 30 years younger than I am. But I am literally this 64-year-old man trapped in a 26-year-old body. I still think I can do it. And I got out there and Justin unloaded on those balls. I'm going like, oh my gosh. So I will be washing dishes on November 14th at Angels and Sparrows Community Kitchen.
We won't leave you hanging.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll come join you.
Some of the staff at WSIC will be there. But speaking of athletics, you were a linebacker for the University of Virginia.
Well, yeah, long time ago, Bill.
Okay.
Long time ago, Bill. I was just thinking about you're being trapped in a 25-year-old body. I recently pulled my hamstring jogging in a straight line. So that's where I am today.
Mark, Virginia is going to be playing. You got a bye this weekend. South Carolina is playing Florida. But you're going to be playing University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in a week.
What
do you think is going to
commercial
happen?
break's coming up here. I think we're going to have to break here. No, but go Hoos. It's a great school as well. Okay.
And then you got Miami. And did y'all watch the Miami game last week? Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
instead of kneeling, they
tough.
Fumbled the ball. And then
Heard
Georgia
about
Tech.
that.
Oh
tough.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, thank you very much for being here. Thank you both for the investment that you're making in Lake Norman and our business community. We really appreciate it. I can't say enough about the relationship that we're forging. And I want to thank everybody for listening today. If it's Wednesday afternoon, we're talking about our towns on Town Talk on WSIC. I'm Bill Russell, and we will see you next week.